right, there we go. Welcome everyone to Frank Analysis. I'm your host Franco. I'm pleased to be joined by a lovely cast of people here. My friends Charles, Ricky, and Ed. What's up, guys? How are you doing?
What's up, man? So happy to be here, man.
Thanks
Represent
for
Frank
having us.
Analysis. What's up?
So let's start by introducing yourselves to the guests here. To the audience, for some of them who may not know who you are. Let's start with you, Ricky. What kind of work do you do?
What kind of work do I do?
Yeah, on the
Um,
YouTube sphere. In the
I'm
YouTube sphere.
yeah, I'm a little new to the YouTube game. I kind of dig into some of the local politics here in New York, some of the national politics, and I'm also I kind of get into the conspiratorial stuff a little bit as well, just to ask the big questions that some people aren't asking. So that's some of the stuff I do on my channel. You can find me at Ricky Rants on YouTube or Twitter as well.
Ricky Rants. And we also got DJ L7. What's up, bro?
What's up, man? All right, all right. So I'm actually an activist, longtime activist. I'm also a whistleblower, and I've paid the price. And that means that I have a particular love for attacking corruption because those are the ones who love to come at the whistleblowers. I also love to represent those who are underserved and unheard. Usually, people with, if you're feeling like nobody's listening to you, I'm your man right there. And plus, I got a really hip hop flavor in a lot of my videos. So that's DJ L7.
And we got Charles Anderson of the Lone Wolf Podcast. How you doing, bro?
Doing good, Franco. Yeah, over on the Lone Wolf podcast, I've been trying to cover things from an independent perspective. I voted Libertarian, but I'm not registered to the Libertarian Party. I maintain being an independent. And right now, what I want to do is find a good third party platform, whomever it may be, and get a coalition of people together, working middle class, blue collar people all around the country that we can relate on issues, find the issues we can agree upon, get a unity coalition together, and finally take our country back for the people.
That's what's up. Yeah, so
Nice.
today, if you as you saw from the title, we're talking about Andrew Yang and how he is a problem for New York City. Ricky Rance and DJ All 7 here have done some extensive research on Andrew Yang and have been warning people about why Andrew Yang is a problem. Charles here and I are going to be co-hosting this. We're going to be asking them questions and also sharing our thoughts. So go ahead, either one of you, DJ Alf or Ricky. Like, why is Andrew Yang a problem if he becomes the mayor of New York City?
Okay, so the thing is that I actually worked with Andrew Yang's campaign quite extensively after, the thing is that I'm a loyal Tulsi head. But what happened was that after the campaign was over, there wasn't really a lot of heads on the ground doing really political work. So I looked for other groups that I could patch into. Also, I wanted to convert some, and not convert, but also build coalitions. That's really actually been a big focus of mine. So an MPP and a Yang Gang, right? I looked at them both as organizations that had a good pull for both left wing and right wing. So I joined Yang Gang as well as MPP. And once I was there, I actually realized that a lot of the followers there are new. And the thing is that they become really, they love this talk about policy, but they fail to see that a lot of times policy can often be twisted as a weapon to be used against the poor themselves. For example, affordable housing. In New York City, a lot of the affordable housing is about $2,000, right, minimum for a studio apartment. Why? Because the thing is that that's going to allow, real estate to convert that into a luxury building in a couple of years, and then they have no rent control on it whatsoever. So affordable housing also is used to steer certain populations into certain districts that that honestly are racist and cause other problems as well. So affordable housing is supposed to help the poor and the minorities, and it actually is used as a weapon against them. So it's very important to, like, UBI, VAT tax, things like that. It's very important to watch things carefully, but too often they're willing to just let these things go in order to gain a title or to get flash or power. And you see this in Yang himself. Unfortunately, there are some people in the Yang Gang. They have a wide breadth. There's a Tulsi faction. There's a Bernie faction. There's actually a Biden faction, right? And what happened is, actually, I was telling you about it, Franco, right? What happened is right after Biden got confirmed and stuff, then happened was that there was a movement within the party to eject all the Republicans, eject all the progressives who are trying to like lead towards third party solutions and really solidify into the Biden camp. And they kind of like gained control of power for a while. They're still in control right now, to tell you the truth. And it's they completely sold out. The thing is that you can see it in the ties with Grace Meng, vice chair of the DNC. They're buddy right now. The person running against Grace Meng was someone named Mel Gagarin, who supported something called the UBI, his signature platform deal, right? But actually, they're willing to give that up so they can support, right, getting the access to the DNC's machine so that they can get into office. Also, we take a look at Tulsi, right? He said that he would support a candidate who would back up UBI,
Oh
and then
God, yeah.
Tulsi said she did UBI, just went dead silent on her. That we look at this, right, is multiple things. We look at Israel, right? Yeah, he had until very recently, which thanks to my work and Ricky's right there, putting mad pressure in his face about like, why are you supporting Israel, right? Yeah, because it's clear he doesn't care about the humanitarian aspect of it. Humanity first, humanity forward, whatever. It's easy to say these things, but when people are literally suffering and you're using non-violent protests to try to attend to those issues, right? Yeah, they say that is akin to like being a Nazi, and then they say that and it just shows that he will side with power again and again and again. So that's why to put him as the watchdog of Wall Street as in charge of New York, it's a huge problem. We need the help of the rest of the progressive media. Jimmy Dore, Nico House, Combo Couch, please help. You know what I mean? Hardlands Media. I'm a fan of all your shows. You know what I mean? But honestly, I just watch Franklin nowadays because he's more relevant to me. You know what I mean? Thank you for addressing these issues. You know what I mean? I'm so wrapped up in this war right now because it's kind of like we're fighting. Just me and Ricky is just out there. You know what I mean? Out there.
I've been seeing you guys put in work. Yeah, and I appreciate that, Ed. Yeah, I try my best over here. But yeah, go ahead, Ricky. You can add on to what Ed was just saying about Yang.
Sure. Well, I was never part of the Yang gang, so I don't really have that insider's perspective that a lot of people have. There are a lot of people that were part of the Yang gang that have left, that noticed the problems and they got out. Andrew Yang kind of rolled onto the scene last year with his 2020 campaign for president, and he was a political novice. He surrounded himself with a lot of people that didn't have much political experience. So that tells me he likes control, I think. So his team, you would think someone who doesn't have, experience in office would pair up with someone who is more experienced, because it just makes more sense to me. So that was a little bit of a red flag. And there was like a lot of things coming out about his team that was, very, very negative. There's a lot of like culture problems within Yang gang. I don't know from an insider's perspective, but there was a whole expose in Business Insider that talked about the toxicity within his group. So that was a big problem. That's just from an outsider's perspective, though, about Yang. Some of the problems I have with Yang, he got famous on UBI, and then he dropped out of the race. He got this job at CNN immediately. He's supposed to be a populist, but then he ends up on CNN immediately. I'm like, something's a little weird there. So he raised all this money for his presidential campaign, and a lot of that money, a lot of people don't know this, a lot of that money ended up going to Joe Biden. Over $200,000 went to Joe Biden, and tens of thousands of dollars went straight to the DNC. He diverted a lot of those funds to certain interests that he had. So he pretty much bought his way into the DNC at the end of his presidential run, which obviously that's going to set you up for New York mayorship. Like they're gonna make sure you get the mayorship if you're basically pumping all these funds into the DNC. And then he went down to Georgia. He helped Warnock and Ossoff, get elected in Georgia.
His sellout level was so deep. He actually had like $1,000 like a meeting, like a leadership forum that people would some Yang gangers would pay into, like just completely milking the crap out of them. It never really created any real opportunities for them. I was like, this could be exciting if it creates an opportunity for them. It never really did. It was just there to suck out their money. He said Biden would possibly be like he said possibly that Biden would be the a hallmark for the Asian American, power movement. What? What does he have to do with the Asian? He done nothing for us. What are you talking about? Yeah. Let's take a look at another actually real critical aspect of, once again, a lot of people love to talk about policy, but they do not talk about implementation. If you go to the actually, Venture for America's Wikipedia site right now, you'll see VFA originally aimed to create 100,000 jobs by 2025, right? Yeah. You know how many jobs they've created so far? They said they were going to create 100,000, right? Yeah. They've created 4,000 since 2019. 4,000 out of 100,000 that they said that they were going to create.
That's just not for profit.
That's like Theranos type shit. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool that you started something. You know what I mean? And he got the Obama, approval presidential award. But how much did he really get done?
I don't trust this guy. I don't trust this guy,
I don't trust him at
especially
all, man.
and not just with what you were saying, but I remember from when he was running as a president, he was horrible on foreign policy. He gave a horrible answer about Assange, saying like, "Oh, he revealed information about my friends." Those are your friends, the people that are oppressing the working class people and creating war in other countries. How are you calling these people your friends, Andrew Yang? How are you at the time, a progressive? How were you a progressive? But go ahead, Charles. What questions do you have for Ricky and Ed, or what comments would you like to add?
Well, and first, I want to just start off by kind of throwing this out there. During the primary season, I wasn't completely opposed to Andrew Yang. I was obviously completely for Tulsi, but I figured, what the heck, Yang sounds like he might be a reasonable second place. But I started to get some of my own red flags a little bit about Andrew Yang, not only just from the Assange issue, because that was disastrous.
Yeah.
But more so than that was when I heard him literally on a debate stage. This was during the time the mainstream media is, in a way, kind of screwing him and Tulsi, right? Trying to keep them off the debate stage. And yet Cory Booker didn't make a debate, and he stood on the stage and said, and I have confidence that Cory Booker will be with us next time. Like, why are you cheering that on? That's Cory Booker.
Yeah. These establishment tools, and he's calling them his friends. And then he started working for CNN after they were effing him over, trying to get him off the debate stage. That is a sellout. You're giving up your principles for expediency, right?
Here's the weird thing, right? Yeah, I'll tell you why I actually get it. And here's what's effed up about it, right? Yeah, the thing is that as much as I believe, as much as I stand with you guys, you see that I love going out there. The fact of the matter that Yang Gang just has fucking strength where we don't. They have people ready to make phone calls. They're ready to phone bank. They go travel, right? Yeah, to help out things in Georgia or whatever. Yeah, we need to have our own army out there. That's why I'm out there, right? Yeah, I would love to roll with more Tulsi heads. I would love to find more people like Rick out there that's out there ready to roll with us. But there's so few of us that are ready to put in the work. There's so many of us that are armchair activists. We need to get up out of those chairs and make it happen. AOC's army out here is so strong. We struggled to get 8 people nationally to call for the Tulsi campaign on many weekends. You know what I mean? 8 people nationally to get on those fucking phones. AOC has 8 people calling after she's already won just to say thank you. That's how strong her volunteer base is. We need to wake up and look at, right, join these groups and see how strong they are and realize how much work we really have to do. So I did not join Yang so much, and I said this in my videos, and I've said this openly many times. I did not join Yang for Yang himself, but for the Yang Gang. That's a strong group right there, a dedicated group, and a group that's ready to put in work and affect the process. We need more of us. We could sit on a high horse, but if we aren't willing to do the work, we don't deserve to win.
Yeah, it sounds like. Yeah, go ahead, Ricky.
But it's a group that doesn't like to talk about his flaws. That's the problem with the Yang Gang. They are borderline cultish at this point, in my opinion.
So
we got rid of everybody who talks about the flaws.
So Ricky, how have you and Ed been approaching these people that are still, afraid to address some of these criticisms of Andrew Yang? Like, have you guys had experiences talking to these people, like online and on the ground? How is that going for you guys?
I've had a lot of experience with this, and I'll tell you right now that unfortunately, just the way that we're kind of ignorant about Yang, right? You see that our producers aren't really talking about Yang issues. They're completely ignorant about us. When I say Our Revolution LA, they think I'm talking about a local group. You know what I mean? Our Revolution, they've never even heard of that group. They have no idea what I'm talking about. They don't understand things outside of their bubble, and we are in our own bubble too. We do not understand the Yang group as well.
Yeah, Yang's done a really good job of luring people in with these big ideas. UBI, which he's not even pitching that for New York. He's pitching a basic income, which has many different stipulations, much different than what he ran on for president. So it's a much different ball game here in New York, and he's really used a lot of celebrities to lure in probably people that don't know much about politics, to be honest. He's done events with Amy Schumer, who's Chuck Schumer's cousin, Sarah Silverman, who lives in LA, Lucy Liu, Daniel Day Kim, like all these different celebrities he's attached to his campaign. So he's building this celebrity, And once you have a certain amount of celebrity power, like this sort of bubble kind of forms around you. Like AOC has that now.
Yeah.
She's such a celebrity that she's untouchable. You can't really criticize her because she's like the best hope we have.
We
and
can
like,
if we
Yang is starting to
recreate.
get that bubble around him. Like, oh, he's the best hope we have. He's got this celebrity bubble around him. So
We can
That
if we
is what I
create a
get,
new
the
movement
sense.
to redefine celebrity and to put celebrity into the hands of producers like Franco and Lone Wolf Podcast and stop putting celebrity in the hands of Jimmy Dore and Nico House without thoughts. You know what I mean? I'm still a fan of those guys, but I have a limited amount of time and I put my time into watching literally. I'm not hating on Nico, I'm not hating on Jimmy Dore, I'm not hating on them. But they just do not cover my issues. I have limited time. I watch Frank Analysis and I watch Lone Wolf Podcast and people that are in my circle. Now I'm watching Ricky Rants. Not hating on anybody else, but we have business to attend to. And that's it.
Yeah, what? Yeah, just a quick shout out before I address that. Redneck Economics. She said, yeah, make sure you're supporting over at Rockfin. You guys can leave a tip there, leave a question, and we'll answer those questions. And she says, just imagine how powerful we could be if instead of organizing around politicians or parties, instead of organizing around politicians or parties, we organize around policies. Like, that's where our energy needs to be. But yeah, people get distracted by the person, like the symbol, who's like who may have represented those policies at one point, and then we think that they're going to give us that policy just because they talked about it at one point. Like for example, with AOC, she doesn't talk about Medicare for all anymore. She says access now. Right, and now it seems like Yang is talking about basic income, but not really universal basic income. But yeah, go ahead, Charles. Go. You have any comments, and then you want to ask Ed or Ricky questions?
So the first, and then I'm going to ask just kind of a question here to get the elephant out of the room. But first, if he's bringing Amy Schumer out, that tells me all I need to know right there, because she's just a complete cringe as far as I'm concerned. But to ask a question here, so. You know what the pushback is going to be from a lot of the neoliberal, neo-progressives here, which is who's the competition. Now, I don't really know who all's running in like the mayoral primary, but isn't Bill de Blasio still running for re-election too?
No.
Or is he just done with being the mayor now?
I think de Blasio's done. He got his butt whooped this past year.
Okay, and so then and the reason I was going to ask is, I mean, I haven't really kept up with what de Blasio is doing, but obviously – you're going to have the people like the Cenk Uygurs and such out there who are going to tell people, well, Andrew Yang is still a little bit more to the left of these people, so take a win where you can get them. And don't get me wrong, I'm not making the defense of Andrew Yang here. Like I said, I've already seen my own red flags, but what's your response going to be to those kind of people to prove them wrong? Because that's going to be the argument is always, oh, let's just take the incrementalism here.
Well, I honestly don't think he's that left. I think there are several people in the race more left than Andrew Yang. It is a huge field this year. There's over 20 people running for mayor. We do have ranked choice voting for the first time in New York, so that's maybe why the field's a little bit bigger. I'm not sure. But yeah, I would argue that he's lining himself up to be a neoliberal, to be honest. He claims to be the candidate who's going to eradicate extreme poverty in New York with his ideas like basic income and things like that, but he's aligned himself with Wall Street, he's aligned himself with Israel, he's aligning himself with big tech, he's aligning himself with crypto. Like it just doesn't make any sense. A capitalist who aligns himself with all these different interest groups is not going to eradicate poverty in New York, and I don't think he understands poverty in New York.
He doesn't. He really does not. Yeah,
and so just kind of a follow-up to that then, being as how you've given the answer there, tell us who you think would be good alternatives that people should be looking at instead of Andrew Yang, because clearly he's going to be getting the eye if he's got all these celebrities coming out. So tell people who you think really is the best choice for New York.
I'm still digging on some of these candidates. Some that get no press whatsoever, and you actually have to dig, which is really sad. I do know that one that stands out to me, who's one of the top 5 or 6 in the field, is Diane Morales. I like her because at least she has experience as an activist in the community. She's worked in the community, so that's something. That's more than Andrew Yang has. But I still need to do more research on her. then there's other people who are problematic. There's a lot of people who are using the progressive talking points. A lot of people using the same exact talking points. So it's really hard to get engaged on these people because they're kind of saying the same answers to the things because they know it's the answer to say, but it's hard to tell who's really got our back.
The platitudes. Yeah, we have trust issues now with the squad, right? Because they didn't do anything for us, and now. Like Nina Turner also is telling us that she's going to disappoint us, and we can expect her to get disappointed by her. Like I don't have much trust in anybody really, and who's running for office. But
right. And let me tell you why. Yeah, one of the things is that actually remember that Force the Vote where there was that guy with me. His name's Lewis, and actually on Sunday I'm doing action with him. He works for a group called Fight for NYCHA, and he's actually right. Yeah. They have these mayoral panels where they invite these different mayoral candidates to come and talk about the issues. But this is what all the mayoral candidates ask them. They say, what's your following? How many people do you expect? You know what I mean? Who else is going to be there? You know what I mean? They really care about that more than actually reaching out to these communities. You can see where the pride is. There's still plenty of time. There's months to go. For me, if I was that person, I would reach out regardless. I still have time. I would fight for every moment to talk to every person, let them know that if I would be there when others are not. This is not the way that the mayors of this city and any of the mayoral candidates are approaching this race. And I know this because I talk to people behind the scenes that are arranging for them to appear at these events.
So Ricky, why are Andrew Yang fans, like Yang Gang, like at least a lot of them, why are they not questioning the fact that Andrew Yang is being supported or like backed up by a lot of people in the establishment?
I'd like to just want to say one thing here.
Yeah.
What you guys got to watch out for the consultants. The consultants really surround Yang and they manage the volunteers. And the thing is, they also manage the candidates as well. If you're watching the latest video, Yang says, I didn't know that you were out here doing this stuff. It's actually possible because they really create a very solid shell. They do not permit people like myself. They create a very strong barrier to prevent my communication with Yang. But I think Yang is with it. Yang has accepted their protection. Yeah, remember he's part of CAA as well. So that whole Amy Schumer thing, it's part of a. If you look, it's very similar. It's a game plan. They follow the same game plan with every candidate. This fucking celebrity bullshit. You know what I mean? It's meant to literally depower the grassroots. It literally is meant to destroy that.
Yeah, it's really weird when he does an event with a billionaire and then he's using that event to raise grassroots donations. I'm like, that guy can literally fund your whole campaign and still be a billionaire. This is very weird.
Mm-hmm.
But it gives him that progressive image, right? Because he's getting grassroots donations.
So that's the only thing that has people still calling him a progressive, right? The grassroots donations.
Yep.
But is he going to do anything for the people? I mean, his stances right now say otherwise. Like, why are these people still having trust in this guy?
I mean, he says a $15 minimum wage is anti-worker. He doesn't support the teachers union. He, compared the BDS movement to Nazism. He doesn't support Julian Assange. I'm like, if these aren't red flags, I don't know what are. Those are pretty big ones, He says he's going to eradicate extreme poverty, but I haven't seen him support the New York Health Act. That's our single-payer program here in New York. And for the first time, it has the majority of the assembly, the state assembly, and the state senate co-sponsoring for the first time ever. And he hasn't said anything about it, which is weird because, the number one cause of bankruptcy in America is medical bills. And that could literally wipe out medical bills like that. And he said nothing about it, but you want to eradicate extreme poverty. I'm confused,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have to admit, but based on that, I'm very confused too, because especially considering you've got COVID still going on right now, you would think that if you're wanting to eradicate poverty, that would be a no-brainer. If you've got the support to do it, go for it. I'll bounce off of this though, as far as this fundraising thing with the grassroots stuff. I've said this about the squad a lot. What is the difference between a hooker and a slut? One gets at least paid to do something dirty. Okay. So, to go out there with a millionaire or a billionaire and then not take their money, but do their bidding anyway, what does that make you? I mean, you're just an idiot. At least the people who take their money are getting well off. And I guess in his case, maybe he's not taking their money for the campaign, but he definitely seems to be getting some connections from them. It sounds like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, connections, fame. I mean, he can be comfortable off of off of doing that, off of pretending like he is fighting for the working class people just by saying he's grassroots. But I mean, in the end, he's gonna do the favors for all these powerful people, all these people on Wall Street. He's gonna support Israel, the powerful people there that are associated with that, the powerful people who support Israel. And then what'll that mean for him? He'll have a comfortable life. It's still expediency. But yeah, go ahead, Ed.
And if it's not even for him, it's for his kids. His kids will get into Harvard, they'll get into Yale, they'll get taken care of, they'll get cushy jobs. Think about the pressure that his wife will put on him to take this deal. Notice how highly she was, used at the beginning of the whole thing. You know what I mean? That was all calculated. Your wife gets to be a star. She really likes this wife, doesn't she? You know what I mean? They'll get at the people around you. They won't just get at you. She might even know, like Yang might even be like, yo, they're playing this game on us, but then but they're saying our kids could get into Harvard for sure. Look at George W. Bush, he got into Yale. Come on, yeah, come on.
There's no way he should have been there. Went to Yale. It's just because the connections from Spirit.
He shouldn't have been at a community college. What are you talking
it's so bad. So bad. Yeah, come on.
All right. Yeah, go ahead, Rick. I know you have to head out soon. Do you want to share any final thoughts before you head out, or can you stick around longer?
Yeah, I have to go in a few here. I just want people to take another look at Andrew Yang and really do a deep dive on these policies. His big thing is the basic income, which has been modified for New York City. It would give $2,000 per year to the poorest 500,000 New Yorkers. So that's $2,000 a year to 500,000 people. Like over 1 million people were on unemployment at one point in New York. So I don't know, like, who gets to get that money. We have like nearly 100,000 homeless people now. How do they even get access to this? Like, I don't really understand how this is going to be fair or beneficial to enough people. Like 92% of restaurants back in December couldn't pay their rent in full in New York City. Like, businesses are literally crumbling. People are thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars behind in rent and mortgages here, right? People are losing their businesses. I interviewed a taxi driver, a 72-year-old taxi driver, a yellow cab driver, who took out hundreds of thousands of dollars in loans for his medallion because the city upped the price of these medallions that are required to drive around and do the job. So they kind of forced all these taxi drivers to take out these massive loans, and then they started changing all the rules on them. They're like, oh, well, you have to replace your car every 5 years. Oh, now it costs you $3.30 every time you pick someone up, and you have to pay that to us. And then, oh, guess what? We're going to sign this massive contract for Uber. Come on in, Uber. Oh, here's a massive contract to Lyft. So they forced these cab drivers to take out these massive loans for their medallions, and now they've pretty much squashed the business. Now yellow cabs are all competing within a certain radius here in like Midtown and downtown Manhattan, when they used to be all over the 5 boroughs. So now they're kind of squashed here, and Lyft and Uber has just destroyed their business. And
yeah,
they have these massive loans. So they're out protesting at Gracie Mansion, which is the mayor's mansion here, saying you need to forgive our debt because now these people are losing their homes. They're committing suicide. What is $2,000 per year going to do for someone who is $436,000 in debt? That's how much debt the 72-year-old driver who's been working his whole life has right now because the city scammed him. Tell me you understand poverty when a man who's been working his whole life is $436,000 in debt.
He already provided his service. Now it's time for the government to be taking care of him after he provided his service. It's completely unfair. Like he participated in this country, and they're not taking care of him.
Nope. And who made out? The banks, right? Yeah, they're gonna get paid. But yo, check it out. Yo, Ricky, one thing before you go, I want to make sure that you hear this. Yeah. Now the thing is that, look, I know the Yang Gang community, and I am Yang Gang. No one can take this from me. I swear to you. But the thing is that
it's not about Yang, right?
That it's not about Yang. You've done a large favor because I know the majority of the Yang Gang. There's factions, and a huge faction is honestly for this whole Israel thing. It bothers everybody in there. So, and I've seen so many people in the Yang that when I talk to them about this Israel thing, they say, yeah, it's wrong. You know what I mean? But they say, oh, well, we're just kind of like, I know Yang supports it, so we're just, the rest of the stuff we can support, you know what I mean? But look at, we were able to make it happen. Me and Ricky, right? Yeah. And I look at how fast Yang flipped on it. Yeah. It just took him a couple days. The thing is that honestly, maybe Yang wants this. It's because of you guys need to push through these consultants. You guys need to put the pressure on. You guys cannot let those guys, right? Yeah. They're getting Yang into a closed room and saying, look, we're going to offer you money. We're going to offer you harbor. We're going to offer you this. You know, I mean, we got to come back and say, we're going to make sure you get into office. We will make sure that you can win, but you got to do this stuff for us. You got to ask for it. You got to ask, you create the future you want, right? Yeah. And if that's what Yang wants to, and if you believe that, then you are letting him down by not fighting for him. You are letting, right? Look at how, do you believe in this BDS thing you do, right? You know, it's the right thing, right? Yeah. Come on. Come on. We signed up for this. Why? Because we want to fight the oppression, not be a part of it. So help Yang too. Help Yang be the man that you know he can be, and fight for the right thing in the organization, and do not turn your head the other way when things are going wrong. Stand up for what's right. Thank you, Ricky, for you've done a huge service to so many in the Yang Gang. I swear to you, I know people by their names. Yeah, I know. I would name them. I don't want them to get in trouble, but I could name them, but people who are thankful for what you have done. And your work as in terms of getting Yang to retract his statements on BDS.
Yeah, thank you, Ricky. You're on the ground. You're trying to inform people, and also online, you're informing people, and that's what we really need. We can't have more people who are misguided because they have their blinders on for personalities. Before I forget, I do want to address Ed. You brought up Nico. Nico has been doing. He has had his eyes on a lot of stuff, but one of the reasons why he asked me and Steve and Glory and others to join the network is so that he can have more eyes and ears, so that we can cover stories like this that he is not looking closely at, because he's looking closer at other stories. And then once he sees these stories pick up, then he addresses them. So yeah, like he wants these stories covered. It's just that he can't cover everything. That's one of the reasons why he has. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why he has people like me on. And he's already addressing the MPP stuff. But yeah, go ahead, Charles, if you have like any questions or comments that you want to add.
So I heard Ricky say this a few times. I was originally going to ask did I hear him correct, but he said it enough times. I definitely heard him correct. Andrew Yang went, you mean to tell me, from $2,000 a month to $2,000 a year?
That's correct. His current
what a sellout.
$2,000 per year, annual, to the poorest 500,000 New Yorkers.
So I'm going to tell you something, okay? That I don't live in New York, but in South Carolina, that's a slap in the face. And South Carolina is a lot cheaper to live in than New York. I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, and it's only less than $70,000. Right. You couldn't get that in New York for that kind of price. So literally, if you do the math, and I just sit here crunching the numbers while we were talking, $2,000 a year divided over 12 months is $166 a month.
That's correct. And where you live, you don't have to worry about drones coming to take your delivery jobs, or robots coming to take your restaurant jobs, or driverless cars coming to take your cab jobs.
Yeah, he's trying to make,
in the next few years,
because he's trying to make smart cities, right? And then all this automation, which he was warning about when he was running for president. He was warning about automation. And now he's allowing automation to happen, right? And then he's taking away UBI. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and furthermore than that, I'll say this. If he's planning on eradicating poverty, I got news for you. $166 a month wouldn't eradicate poverty in Alabama. The hell's it going to do in New York?
That's why I'm saying these are major red flags that no one's talking about.
Oh, that's not a red flag, man.
Yeah,
that's a deal breaker. He's full of shit.
I mean,
I'm not so harsh on this particular. I think that the city budget is smaller than the federal budget, number one, and he can't really raid the military as much, but he could raid the police force, right? Yeah, with them. But the thing is that also some of those things are right. The Israeli forces, they donate their stuff because there's a lot of kind of weird exchanges going on and stuff on the low. You know what I mean? Plus you got the United Nations there, and you have all those diplomats running around with diplomatic immunity doing whatever the F they want, bro. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of shady business. You cannot stop it. You get what I mean? So all kinds of shenanigans is going on up in here.
Yeah, I'll just say one more thing before I go. It's what it's really doing is ushering in an era of technocracy here. This is where companies are going to own people. It's going to get to the point where we have to beg the government for our little money, our little check, and we have to be good little people of the good citizens of the city to get our check. People are fighting for their stimulus right now. They can't get that. How's this going to work when we have to survive day-to-day life with whatever the government gives us? It's a weird world. And I've heard Andrew Yang talking about like COVID passports on phones and
Jesus
stuff like
Christ.
that. And when you give tech companies this much power, they already have tons of power. They already exploit people. And when you give them that extra layer of power, it's over, man.
Andrew Yang is a technocrat.
Yeah,
He's a technocrat.
That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing from he's not outwardly like that because he dances around all those hard topics, right?
And it looks like
you know what? If running for the Democrats doesn't work out for him, and it looks like at this point he's bought his ticket. But you know what? If it doesn't work out for him, he ought to try running in the NPP. I think he'd be a good fit.
Oh man, yeah.
Ooh, on that note, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much Michael, for having me. Always good to see you, Ed. Nice to meet you, Charles.
God bless, brother.
Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, looking forward to more collabs like this, Ricky. Take care.
Absolutely. Take care.
I really like that thing you were saying earlier, Charles. The solution really is building that coalition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's been my whole bent for the whole time. That's why I aimed into Yang Gang. That's why I aimed into MPP. And still talk to Green Party because I'm trying to really build that coalition. It doesn't matter, right, if Yang gets elected mayor or not, right? He could say any law he wants, but if we on the street do something else, like they can't stop us. You know what I mean? There's street rules, and then there's like the paper rules. You know what I mean? And there's those different things right there. Not only that, but we can take control locally and pass laws such as saying like, the DNC cannot control the debates. We will control the debates on them, right? Yeah, and if they want to do, this stupid stuff to us, then we can just, legislate away our jobs. We could just legislate control back over them.
You know what? You know what all this sounds like? So it's more like having a smart city, having these smart cars take away jobs from people. What else did he like? There's more automation. Like what that will create is some more also like the vaccine passports that Ricky mentioned. What he forgot to mention also is increase in surveillance. Right, that's what we're gonna see. So that sounds to me like Andrew Yang is facilitating the Great Reset, and that New York City is gonna be one of the first places where we're gonna see that. But yeah, Andrew Yang is not a friend of the people. He's a friend of the powerful, and he's gonna do their bidding.
Yeah, and for them to roll out in New York City, that's really dangerous. That's why this race is so huge, and that's why this needs more attention. We need to, because the thing is that Yang has sold out so completely and clearly. I don't know if any of the other candidates are really strong enough to stand up to selling out, but he's all the way in. He's all the way in, yeah.
Well, and the automation thing is really kind of standing out to me too, because not only did we just discuss how he completely, flipped on the UBI, and I heard you mention, Ed, like the New York budget is obviously not like the federal government, and I agree. But I'm going to be honest with you. If you couldn't figure out a way to do more than what he's proposing, then I would have just probably left it alone and tried to fight poverty other ways. Because to me, that just gets insulting when you look at the cost of living in New York. And I don't even live there. And no, that's a drop in a bucket, basically. But That being said, take the automation thing like I was mentioning. He was the one warning people, not just about automation, but he was warning about, Franco brought up the electric cars. He was warning about the self-driving 18-wheelers that would be coming along to put the truck drivers out of business. And he had a lot of truck drivers that were supporting his campaign. Now, if he's the one bringing automation more into New York to eliminate jobs, understand this, the transportation industry is still one of the biggest industries across the country. It employs a lot of people. Think about how many people could be getting put out of work by something like that.
The Department of Transportation, I do think that that's actually state. I think the state has some control over that, right? But as in terms of the city, some of the biggest players are going to be New York City Housing Authority, New York City Police Department. You know what I mean? Those are really the ones that the agencies that the city has control over. And NYCHA is actually one of the reasons why I'm going out for action this weekend with that guy from the Force the Vote Action, Lewis, because right now, Andrew Yang's plan actually eliminates housing vouchers. So the thing is that if you're like someone with disabilities, you might get some vouchers for some, for electricity and stuff like that, and that would be eliminated under his proposed program. And I mean, there's a lot of specifics like here in New York City that are going on, like with in terms of like housing, rad. The thing is that okay, they made a new plan under Obama, by the way, right, to bring private money into the housing system to pay for repairs, right? So it happens that so what happens is that at first, right, why is the hood all effed up? You know what I mean? Because nobody owns it. If you own it, right, you're going to take better care of it. So what happens if we give these people that are living in the hood for generations, right, a chance to buy in, right, yeah, and own that piece of property right there? That discussion lasted about like 5 seconds before the developers came and said, "Oh my God, Manhattan real estate, let's get a piece of this." You know what I mean? And that whole discussion has been deaded, and you know what I mean. And now, but Yang seems to know nothing about this. All he talks about is green NYCHA, right, and putting like solar panels on, and there's no discussion of these real issues that are really literally pricing these people out and re-victimizing them again.
As if solar panels alone is going to help with the climate crisis that we're facing right now. That's just you still are going to use resources that are going to be depleting. It's still going to be destroying our environment if you're going to be over exploiting these resources that satisfy these these companies, these businessmen. The solution is to reduce our energy usage, but it doesn't seem like he's promoting that. He's more so promoting us giving our money to these capitalists.
Look at Wall Street Bets. Did he make any did he say anything like against Wall Street literally changing the rules and taking advantage of us? Kind of quiet on that, right?
Yeah.
Is that who you want in charge of New York City? Hell no.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you this too. This is just my take. Maybe you guys don't agree with me, but I don't want to hear anyone talk about making changes to the environment when they're not for pulling the troops out of the Middle East and stopping the bombs.
And he's not saying anything about it. Instead, he's supporting Israel, and Israel who wants us to go to war with Iran, and who supports all our actions that we're taking right now in the Middle East is what benefits Israel.
Yeah. And all of that, bomb dropping, missile launching, and drone strikes is contributing to a lot of the problems with the climate. I mean, it's putting out tons of pollution. Not only is it polluting, but then it's also tearing countries apart too. You're getting a double whammy at that point.
Mm-hmm.
At least the pollution we got here at home is just a lot of pollution from us transporting ourselves around or businesses running. Over there, you're polluting and you're tearing a country apart. And so if you're not in favor of doing away with that, then I don't want to hear anything from you about climate change.
They're not really pro climate at that point.
No,
they're not.
No, and you got your priorities completely backwards.
Yeah. I mean, Yang has some really dope ideas. Like one of his really dope ideas, something called democracy dollars, where he says that everybody would have like a voucher, right? Yeah. For like $100, and then they could put it into any political campaign they want. So like all of a sudden, right, the corporations would have to deal with the possibility of the whole entire U.S. nation, right? Yeah, just regular people donating, all have $100 just to donate to campaigns if they choose to, which was an interesting idea. So he's not all bad, but the thing is that once again, the implementation is a huge problem, because the thing is that we see that Congress is a magical freaking wonderland where they take a good idea and then they attach a million bad ideas and they basically hack the legs off of the good things so it don't work anymore, you know what I mean? And we come up with this broken, corrupt, messed up system. And unfortunately, we need someone. That's the only reason why I really couldn't really support Yang. That's why it was Tulsi first, yeah? Because the thing is that, right, because Yang did not have I did not see the background in him to have the commitment and the drive to fight through all that corruption. He was a business leader, right? Has he been through several wars? Is he ready to put his life on the line? Because that's how hard we have to go with these people. There's millions and millions and millions of dollars at stake, jobs, careers, and they will go hard to make sure that you are destroyed. Look at Tulsi. Actually, I can't blame Yang to a certain extent or AOC, because we have not provided the backing, They've looked as Tulsi got her face blown off, and moved off the hill. I was there on the last day when she left. I was mad as hell. I was ready to You know what I mean? Trump took over. I always wanted to go, baby. You know what I mean? I was feeling that way. You know what I mean? I was feeling real upset about the way Tulsi was treated. I was ready to storm. I felt real.
You're about to go on a hunger strike, Red. Remember
I
that?
did. Yeah.
Jeez. Thomas, Oklahoma hit the nail on the head. He said democracy dollars should be only be a distant second choice to money out of politics, which Andrew Yang is not talking about, of course. Ed,
Yep.
I remember a couple weeks ago you had a problem with one of the guests that Katie Halper had on, right? What was that guy's name? And then he had some kind of relationship with Yang, or he was trying to expose something about Yang.
Oh, Ron Kim.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
And then,
so let me tell you how bad it is here. Okay. So the thing is that there's a guy named Stephen Lee here, and actually he's like an Asian Serpico. He called out like there was some, detectives and stuff that were like, sexting out the sex workers in Flushing and stuff, and he called them out. And then what happened is that, he's actually working with Serpico, which is crazy, right? He might actually get a Netflix documentary, which is going to be freaking awesome. Anyways, yeah, so what happened is that, but now, so he decided to run for state assembly. But Ron Kim actually is friends with Grace Meng, vice chair of the DNC. And there's two super large, political organizations in New York City that they both have seats on the DNC. That's how powerful these machines are. Harlem has Michael Blake, and Flushing has Grace Meng. Okay, and Grace Meng has her little machine of these different people that take over local races. So anyways, right, Stephen Lee, he's not strong enough, right? Yang's not going to support him, even though Ron Kim literally dissed on a tweet, right? Yeah, because the establishment told him, or initially they said, we don't want Yang in. Yang is too progressive for even them, you know what I mean? So they want to get rid of Yang. So Ron Kim dissed him, but later on you could see that they're buddy-buddy now, yeah? Because Ron Kim is Grace Meng's person, and Grace Meng and Andrew Yang clearly made an agreement. They're in cahoots now, you know what I mean? So the thing is that Stephen Lee, he couldn't run for state council. So I said, you know what, I get it. You know what I mean? You want to win, you want to have your cake. You know what I mean? I don't have the ground forces to make what I believe should happen, unfortunately. You know what I mean? So I have to accept you guys have the strength here. Ron Kim, okay. But Stephen Lee over there, right? Yeah, then what about running him for city council? This is a very unique time in New York City history, because right now, because of term limits, yeah, and also because of the way that the election cycle, the majority of seats will flip on the council. That gives true power. The true power of the New York City is up for grabs, and the establishment is making the play fucking hard now. So they don't want him in for council either. So they're not allowing him to run for council either. So I can see that anybody who wants to progress any real ideas, they'll find someone to run against you, and you have no chance. Especially under Andrew Yang, who's going to help maintain this machine. And Ron Kim is a part of that machine, and he's ahead of that machine. He's the worst.
Yeah. Go ahead, Charles, if you want to add any comments or questions.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll point a couple of things out here. Like I said, with Andrew Yang and the Yang gang, Tulsi, in a way, did this kind of similar when she dropped out, and she said some things about Biden, and I kind of questioned that a little bit. I started questioning, like I said, Yang, when he made his comments about Cory Booker. Like we discussed earlier, he went straight into the CNN stuff, just to kind of repeat everything here. I think the more Andrew Yang talks, the more that comes out, the more he's really exposing himself. And at the end of the day, this whole concept about the democracy dollars, I think you really just said it best. You need to get the money out of politics. And one thing I will have to credit Bernie Sanders for, and you don't hear me do that often because I believe he was pretty much a sellout too. But I think he had a good concept when he talked about, instead of having like these televised debates that we get right now, you might even still be able to have quote unquote debates, but it's not going to be something on CNN where they get, the sponsors, which are big pharma and the military industrial complex, and they run the commercials during the intermission to pay for the whole thing. Do away with this concept. What he proposed was giving the candidates equal time to go on TV, kind of like what Ross Perot did when he tried to run for president, and pitch their message to the American people, and it be free. It doesn't have to be on CNN. It's unprofited time for them to talk to the American people, and it would have to be forfeited. Now, he suggested doing it through a forfeiture of airtime on, say, NBC or CBS or whatever. But I mean, I got a better idea. Okay, you've already got CPAC, right? And even if you don't have CPAC, there is a channel most people can get in their homes today, which is ETV. It's educational television, right? It's funded by the government. It's, government subsidized. Okay, use these for people to go out and talk, do your debates there, get the money out of the politics, because their big argument is, oh, we need money to advertise. If this is a guaranteed opportunity, you don't need that money anymore. And then it just becomes incumbent upon people to actually take enough interest in their country again to watch and learn. Now, if you don't want to watch and learn, do that at your own peril. Because
if I could comment on that, getting the money out is actually what we're working on. And me and Theo Chino, right? Yeah. Also, he was previously Yang Gang because he works with like cryptocurrencies and stuff like that. Yeah. The thing is that we just released the voter data to all the candidates. We made it and also it's available, by the way, to community service organizations that want to contact, right? Like NYCHA, the Fight for NYCHA, right? Now they have access to all the voters in the housing system that could vote. You know what I mean? That's 600,000 possible votes right there. You know what I mean? That's a lot of political force right there. So the thing is that we're making the information free, but who loses out on that? The consultants. That's why they are gunning for us true activists out here. And the consultants, unfortunately, often have a relationship with media personnel. And they have, because they've been working it for a while and they get to know them. So unfortunately, please, if you're watching this, please find a true activist, or get in some more activism yourself. It needs, unfortunately, our message on the ground is often, just, I'm an activist first and a YouTuber second. So I'm telling you that a lot of the stuff here is missing from the YouTubers discussion.
That's how it should be. Yeah. And I would like you to address something, Ed. So this was posted by Trix over at Rockfin. They said at least Ron Kim ratted out Cuomo, who is truly the worst. They ratted out Cuomo about the sexual harassment abuses. But let me say something. It hurts Cuomo, but does it hurt the DNC? Remember that AOC was allowed to call out Cuomo too, but on the sexual harassment stuff. But they didn't really go into detail about like the nursing home stuff. Now, I'm not sure if Ron Kim went into detail about the nursing home stuff, but he's not the only one that did that. They did that in multiple states. Gavin Newsom did that in California. Cuomo was just a sacrificial lamb.
Look, go ahead, Ed. Ron Kim, Ron Kim is a machine man. Ron Kim does not make moves without permission. You take a look at the follow-up that came right after. This is a machine move. A whole bunch of establishment Democrats came out after Cuomo. They've already plotted this. They probably already have a successor lined up. Actually, what's funny is that I had actually recommended that Yang run for governor instead because I knew that Cuomo was weak. Actually, it's possible that, honestly, you see that Biden's like annoyed with Yang. You know what I mean? They don't want any of this third-party business at all. Actually, if you look at establishment think pieces, I saw literally the article today that accuses Yang of associating with third parties because of my work. Yeah, they actually cited the July 11th event. They're like, these people, are messing with the wrong people. Yeah, and I'm not fucking leaving. You know what I mean? That's a valuable organization, and my voice will be there. I deserve my place in the Yang Gang. I support UBI just like anybody else. They can't stop me. You know what I mean? And everybody else should join up too and learn their infrastructure. Yeah.
Shout out to Ali Alexandra, who's in the chat, fellow MCSC member. But yeah, Charles, go ahead and do you have any final thoughts about this? We're about to close off here. Just share your final thoughts, and then we'll have Ed share his final thoughts.
Well, and my final thoughts, I'll just kind of wrap on what I was getting at a little bit earlier there, with why we need to get the money out. He's not talking about that. He's talking about the democracy dollars. And my problem with the whole concept of the democracy dollars is, from my understanding at least, this is a concept where we're going to take money from the government, give it back to the people. Now, where's this money coming from? We're either going to print it, borrow it, or it's going to come from taxpayer funding. So rather than just give that money back to people to let them do something with it, we're going to give it to them to give to politicians. They're still going to be able to be outbought by the millionaires, the billionaires, the super PACs. It's still going to outbuy the little guy, even if you give them however little much money you're planning on giving for these democracy dollars. They're going to be outbought. They're still not going to get anything worthwhile. I mean, it's political theater, nothing but like a circle jerk, in my opinion. It's worthless. Okay, just get the money out of politics. You floating this concept like, oh, we're going to give you money so you can compete. Bullshit. We're not going to be competing with the kind of money that these people are pumping into politics, even if you gave some to us. So it's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact he's focusing on that instead of just getting the money out, once again, just another red flag we can add to the list of red flags we've discussed or discovered about Andrew Yang here tonight.
Yo, so I want to say this, my message goes out to Yang Gang right here, yeah? So look, the thing is that I'm going to speak to y'all from the heart right here. I think that y'all really want the same future that me and Charles want. I think that we really should be a coalition, and just, I know you guys know this, yeah? A lot of the top people in the Yang Gang were literally saying, it's time for us to go beyond Yang. It's time for us to think beyond Yang. They already were having discussions, and you know it too, yeah? So you'll see that actually when I say that there's not a lot of New York heads, some of them are strangely absent at some of these events where they only occur at some of them, yeah? The level of their participation level has been affected by all of this stuff happening. Let's be real, yeah? Andrew Yang, I hope you're watching this. If your consultants are controlling what you, which I do see them exerting a strong level of control over you, you have a lot of people, quality people. Brendan Carpenter, you cannot have missed his loss. Yeah, Humanity Forward Arizona, the largest organization, they spent thousands of dollars incorporating themselves to put themselves at service for Humanity Forward and for Andrew Yang's movement, and they literally dissolved themselves because they no longer believed that there would be a good partnership between the volunteers and respectful partnership between volunteers who put in their time, energy, and knowledge, yeah, versus these consultants. And I put myself up against any of these consultants. I have a lot of knowledge in the game. They just don't let them. So for the Yang Gang, right, yeah, don't stop talking to me. I know that there's a lot of forces out there, right, who say don't talk to Ed. You'll notice that I'm on Media Blackout. I'm not on Paget. I'm not on Zach and Matt, right? Yeah, I'm not on Palm Solid Politics. We talked a couple times, yeah. I have been on Melanated Council of Yang. I will be on some other things, but there is a blackout on the largest channels, straight up in the Yang Gang, because my message is known to be just about the truth. I am not saying Yang's a bad guy. I think that in the end, the future, he's had to make some bad choices because of we haven't given him enough strength. We haven't given enough support to do the things that he wanted to do. And he's unfortunately made the wrong choices and sided with the bad people now. And we have to save him from that and save ourselves. Only we can do that. So Saturdays at 3 p.m., I have a coalitional meeting of people across parties. We need Democrats really bad. I would love Yang Gang to be a part of that. And I'd love for to have that meeting. I'd love to host that on, have Charles host that, yeah? You really can you host the next coalitional meeting on your channel?
I might be able to host a lot of people. You know, I don't have a whole lot of strong Wi-Fi and computer capacity here, but
I can host it, or you can host it. Yeah, but I want you to host it. Yeah, Lone Wolf Podcast or Franco. I want you guys to host it on your own. I am not a leader in this. Everybody has to just step up, and then we can win. It won't be there's no savior. We must step up.
Yeah, it's like that's exactly why people should stop hero worshiping politicians or independent media personalities. Stop hero worshiping, guys. Nobody's gonna save you. Only you will save yourself. Everybody has their flaws, especially the politicians who 99% of the time they sell out. Yeah, so they just. So a couple of things before we close off here. They just deleted Ryan Christian's backup channel, The Last American Vagabond. They're coming after all of us. I have a backup channel on YouTube. I want to stay on here as long as possible, but if they're going after people's backup channels, who knows how long I'll stay up over there. Shout out to Ali. Shout out to Propaganda for sharing links to my Rockfin and my PayPal. Those are the best ways you can support me. There's other links to ways that you can support me that it's in the description. Please, hop on over to Rockfin. Help us out here with alternatives to YouTube. You can find Charles and Ed also over at Odyssey and Daily Motion, respectively. Please subscribe to their channels. I don't know what you're waiting for. If you have not yet subscribed,
I could double sub, man. I subbed to Franco, and I was gonna sub to Slow News Day, but then I couldn't sub to both. And I was like, man.
Oh yeah, it just rotate. Yeah, that's another thing I was gonna say. You can only support one.
They should just enable so you could have unlimited.
On Rockfin, you can subscribe to one person for $10, and then or not one person, but one
Donate,
channel
yeah,
for
you have to
$10,
donate something.
and then you get access to all the premium content, to all the content creators on there. But what we encourage, all of us, everyone who's on Rockfin, we encourage people to rotate their subscription. So if you support me for 1 month, after that 1 month, go ahead and support somebody else. And then eventually you'll get back on to supporting me. But we all got to support each other here on independent media. But yeah, Charles and Ed, also Ricky Rance, who left early, go ahead and subscribe to their channels. I'll have a link to their channels up in the description when this is all over. But again, thank you guys for coming on. Andrew Yang, how much of a problem do you think he is? Please let me know in the comment sections below, and stay informed, people. Take care.
Thanks.